Hello! Today we are going to be taking a look at this absolutely beautiful item that I recently purchased from Germany, and it is a very specialized heating element that is designed to warm up water inside of a tank from 12-volt power output, and it was designed for RV applications, but of course it can be used for like a solar 12-volt system or for emergency preparedness, camping, whatever require hot water for like showering or washing your hands, then this is going to be device for you. While I was making research to pick up the best possible option that will fit my scenario, I learned that there are basically three possibilities. The first one, if you are looking for 12-volt heater, is purchasing dedicated boiler device that is basically designed for a permanent setup, and they are quite expensive and they are not possible to move around. So if you put it in your like a camper, then you cannot take it easily out and use in your home if you've got like a power or natural gas outage. So that option was not for me. The second was the liquid propanum portable shower, and this is extremely interesting option, but require access to good ventilation, so you cannot use it indoor, so that was also not for me. And third option that I decide is going to be the best for me is just heating element with built-in thermal control circuitry that can be powered straight from 12 volt and got only 75 watt output, so we should have absolutely no problem using it with even a small go zero, and we can put it very easily into like dedicated canister like a water tank, or we can easily remove it and use in bucket, for example indoor in case of an emergency or portable field application. So let's take a look at our device. First we are going to be removing it from the packaging, and let me present you how it looks. Here is our heating element. It is pretty heavy, one big chunk of metal. We've got the Teflon ring that is designed to not allow it to touch like a plastic bottom of a water container, because you can use it inside of a plastic container, no problem whatsoever. As you can see, it is nicely welded. We've got our specification, just in case you would be interested. It is at 12 volts, 75 watts, made in Germany, as you can see. This is exactly what you would like to see on device like this. And we've got lots of warning that we should not run it without water, which is of course making sense. As you can see, we've got a just bare wire, and we are going to be attaching here a nice cigarette lighter plug. Let's take a look at the user manual. As you can see, they are manufacturing also version for 230 volts. So we can disregard everything that is related to the AC. From the user manual, we can learn couple things. First, that it should be never run without water, because the thermal control circuitry is not going to be working properly. This is pretty like self-explaining. So for example, if we've got like a water pump, then we should place it on something to make sure that it will never suck all the water, and that is going to be always fully submerged, which of course make sense. We can also learn that it's going to be maintaining temp from 36 to 39 Celsius degree, which is going to be absolutely beautiful, and it is capable of warming up 15 to 20 liters, which is great. And there is also included tip that we can pre-fill our water container with warm water, so we are not going to be losing electricity. So that is, for example, if you are inside RV, then you can use a hot water to make the warming up time shorter, but of course we are not interested in that. So this is concluding the user manual. And let's take a look at that beauty. So yeah, we've got absolutely beautiful wire. It is only 75 watt and it is presenting absolutely beautiful. This is extremely expensive item, but it is like a custom made for a very specific purpose. You can purchase extremely cheaply devices like this, and it looks pretty similar. And it is aquarium heater, and that was my first option. I was doing research and I told myself, yeah, that looks close enough. It's got a thermal regulating circuitry. We could plug it to like a small go zero and it should get the job done. And it was working great. It is a 50 watt version, but the aquarium heaters are not having the temp high enough so you can wash in the comfort. That is of course my personal opinion, but you can give it a try in total winter, then it's going to be great, but for me it is a little bit too low. Why I believe this is the best option from like emergency preparedness standpoint of view, that's because how flexible it is. So just take a look, it is very small and we can create a semi-permanent setup with use of that type of canister inside like a RV. Then the only thing that we need to do is to basically throw it inside and put water. And here we've got the water outlet and we can attach pump and basically warm our water like this, and it could be running whole year. You take it into home or into different location, and the only thing that you need is some sort of a bucket, and you throw it in and you are gold. You are gold because it's giving you a lot of options. And if you've got like a smaller tank, you can warm up water just to wash up yourself, and it's going to be totally enough to do it from like a goal zero. So this is why I choose that model, and I believe it is going to be absolutely beautiful. As I told you, I would like to have it as universal as possible, so I will going to be mounting cigarette lighter connector, and this is our beautiful plug. In my personal opinion, this is the absolutely the best plug that you can purchase, and always go with the 20 amp version and just stuff the fuse that is going to be according to your wire. In that case, it's going to be a 10 amp fuse. And this is the absolutely the best one because it do not have that spring that is carrying the current. To this time, not a single plug from that design ever failed me. So I highly recommend you them, and they are pretty cheap on the AliExpress. German 12 volt DC wiring is quite unusual, and that's because most likely if you put a gas, the positive is going to be on brown because that's the color that you use for a live phase conductor on AC system, and on blue you've got neutral. So you most likely assume that blue is going to be negative, but it is actually opposite. On positive 12 volt wiring, the blue is going to be always your positive and brown the negative. You might get feeling that that's because they are just cheap and didn't use red and black conductors. But let me show you something. Here we've got one of the most expensive 12 volt pump from, of course, German company. And if you take a look here, we've got exactly the same wiring. So yeah, this is their thing and you have to be aware. Let's begin our operation. So we nicely thin that element. We go like this, and as you can see, it looks absolutely beautiful. Here, as you can see, we are already got the job done, but I will cut it. And I will remind you, the positive go into our blue in the center, just like that. You tell me how it's presenting. in my personal opinion, we've got the absolutely beautiful job done. Then we grab our ground that is going to be brown. And as you can see, it is nicely catching our solder. And we are going to be doing something like this. Shaky hand do not help. And of course it is crazy hot, so you don't want to touch it because it's going to be sad. Now it's time to put everything back. So first we are going to be grabbing that metal element and we are nicely inserting it inside, just like that. Then here we have to locate those elements and fit them inside. So it go like this and it locks in place here. So here it can work. It is flush with the element. We put our fuse and we are checking if it's springing back. And as you can see, it is working fine. And we try to screw it back. And you've got absolutely beautiful, amazing plug that can go directly into your Goal Zero. Absolutely beautiful. We have to try it out. Of course, it is unplugged. Just for you, my dear viewer, I created this test setup. We've got our water tank that is filled here. We've got our temp probe, and as you can see, it is located here, little bit underwater. We've got the Goal Zero Yeti 200X that is fully charged, and it's going to be nicely displaying the battery percent, so we will know exactly what's going on. And we've got our thermometer that is currently reading 20 Celsius degrees, and I believe it is correct. And of course we've got our vintage iPad that is going to be showing us time. So let's give it a try. So I will start the voltage regulator on the Goal Zero Yeti. The fan kicks in. I start our timer and we are observing our temp. So yeah, it started. And I was waiting for this moment for a really long time. We can press the pause. And that's because at this point in time, the Goal Zero fan stopped spinning. As you can see, it is stationary. And that's because our heating element was disconnected. So as you can see, we've got 44 Celsius degrees. But that's because we are measuring our temp on the top level, so the hot water go up, and most likely on bottom it was still under the 39 Celsius. We have to ask ourselves what kind of conclusion we can pull from it. First of all, the Goal Zero Yeti 200X made a wonderful job, and as you can see, we've got 13% left, and we managed to warm up, I would say, around 3.5 liters of water. I based it off that we've got 10-liter tank, and half is going to be in the middle, so that's going to be around 5 liters, 3.5, maybe 4 liters, so this is more than enough to like wash your face or private part, so that's going to be great. We wait for it almost 2 hours, so I would say it is pretty long, so definitely this is something that you would have to plan ahead, and most likely I would run it overnight. The Goal Zero Yeti 500X should be a good choice for it to like a one good wash. Of course, if we are going to be doing that during the day, I would plug in my solar panel and I would stay basically indefinitely around 100%. So I'm just telling you that as an interesting point. We need to understand one important part in form of physics, that we start with 20 Celsius degrees. So if your starting point would be like a 0 Celsius degree, then we are not going to be only doubling our time, but we are going to be also fighting with the energy, the heat, escaping from our tank. And that tank that I've got over here is non-insulated. So we've got a pretty lot of losses that are just being radiated. So in case of emergency, if I would have it like inside my home, I would definitely put like cover it with like a pillow or with like a blanket, so it's not going to be radiating and losing the energy. That would be definitely cutting our waiting time even at the 20 Celsius degree at the room temp. So adding insulation is going to be definitely critical point if you are going to be using it in cold climate, in cold environment. I deeply believe that our heating element was off long enough, so it's not going to be rising temp by itself, and we can safely dismantle our system and pour our water out, and we can take a look and feel how it's basically going to be working for like washing hand. We can remove our temp probe and we can pour our water out, and as you can see, we've got a lot of water. Just take a look. This is the amount of water, and we still got a lot of them inside the container. And let's do the test. Yeah, it is nice and warm. It feels just amazing. And we can grab like a little bit of soap and we can nicely wash our hand. Absolutely beautiful. Just take a look. It feels really amazing. Just imagine that you've got a power outage and you are running it from your battery and from your sun. Yeah, this is exactly what you would like to have. And let's imagine that you would like to move your system into different location. Then we just need to fish out our heating element. And this is how it's presenting. And looks like it looks exactly as before we do our test. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you find it interesting. See you next time and bye bye.